Shreveport Councilman Grayson Boucher is here. Mr. Grayson, good talking to you as always, sir. Thanks for taking time for us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me again.
Grayson, you posted on Facebook some changes that you want made immediately, as a result of violent crime in our community. The latest shooting, well, we had one overnight, last night, another murder, but we had one in your district over the weekend involving teenagers. Explain your proposal and how soon you think action can be taken.
Well, there were several bullet points. These are all ideas that I have pitched either to the former police chief or to the mayor or to other council members in council meetings, public safety meetings over the last 2 years. So none of this is new. The only one was revisiting the curfew. We have a curfew in place right now, but I think that revisiting it and looking at maybe a little bit stricter guidelines on it and maybe a little bit stricter enforcement, maybe getting the parents more involved in it would be a little bit better way to look at it. But, I think that we have to do something. These are all starting points. Will all of them work? I don't know. But at least if we hit these bullet points and kind of look at them, a really simple thing. I just was reading your article about the cars.
Mm-hmm.
We've got all these cars that have been sitting down at Expo Hall or Stage Works for I don't know how long. We need to get those cars in service. One of the things that we did last year in the budget cycle is we bought these new cars, and then Councilman Bowman just presented some legislation and passed to buy more cars where we can have take-home cars. These are small things that we could do relatively quickly. Now, will it stop the crime completely? I don't think so, but at least we'd be on the road, and at least this was just kind of like a roadmap.
Let me ask you, Grayson, I almost called you Butcher.
Hey,
Sorry.
Butch, how you been?
Hey, Butch.
At KEELnews.com, we put your plan up, and one of them I have a little bit of concern with, and I'll ask you this one. You want to boost starting pay to police officers to $40,000. That sounds great. We're a broke city. This is a recurring expense. How do we fund that? Where do you anticipate getting the money?
Well, there's really only two ways to do that. I think we have enough money to do it by reallocating. Last time I think we talked, or that the American Rescue Plan money. There is some money that we could reallocate to probably take care of it for a year or two. As far as recurring funds, there's really only two options. Number one, it would be some type of public safety fee, which $5 a month would probably take care of that, and it depends on where we are with recycling. Then really you're looking at $2.50, which is not a tremendous amount to be able to fund police, operations and help with their pay. But having said that, that's not really the option that I want. The other one would be you would have to go out for a millage, which nobody really wants to pay taxes, but we've got to get to a point in the city where we pay for the things that we really, really need, and then the other ones we may not pay for anymore. So I think that everybody wants public safety, and this is something that we're just going to have to look at. But for the first 2 years, I believe to stop the bleeding, that money could be reallocated from some of the government money that was given to us at the end of last year and the first of this year.
Mr. Grayson, we can talk about the funding, or we can talk about the sociological problems and down the line how to solve this, which that solution is multi-generational if you could get people to buy in at all. But for short term, and I asked Mario Chavez this yesterday, are for here and now, are we in Shreveport just basically caught in a crossfire in a turf war, in a civil war? And is the best way, is the only way to solve that with immediate results is to have more guns than the other guys?
I think it's taking the illegal guns off the street is one thing, and that would be another part of a plan that I would like to see is we fund more money to do special operations, kind of a lot of the stuff that Chief Raymond was doing, which I think he was going in the right direction, taking these illegal guns off the street. Until we get the illegal guns off the street, we're not going to be able to go anywhere. I do think that it is it's a sad situation that we're in right now, and we're a declining city population wise, and we're going to continue to decline. So I think now, knowing we've taken us 6 months to kind of figure out what we can do with this money through the federal government, we do know that some of it can be spent. So I think we really are at a point now where we're really going to have to act to do something. And I get questions all the time. Well, the DA. Well, look, the city council can't do anything about the DA, and what I think we need to do is focus on the things that we can do, which is more cars on the street, getting our officers to stay instead of losing 100 and what are we up to 115 officers. Those are things that we can do, as opposed to wish that we had this, and this, because we don't. And if we could save one person, I think it's worth it.
Grayson, the curfew issue, and Councilman Nicholson put some suggestions up on his Facebook page too, but the curfew issue, we have a curfew. We haven't really been enforcing it. We don't have. Are we going to lock teenagers up? Are we going to hold mom and dad accountable? What would you like to see done? Is
it really enforceable? Given this, if you look at the situation the other night with the tragic death of the 13-year-old, it's a curfew wouldn't have prevented that, right?
Right, but maybe it would have prevented the stolen vehicle that was stolen. We don't know when that was stolen. Maybe it would have prevented the things that led up to this. I mean, this wasn't. They didn't just decide on Saturday that they're going to get in a stolen car and go shoot things up. I mean, it's not like they got those guns that day. So,
but do our police officers have time to go round up teenagers? You know what I mean? When they say we're swamped with calls.
Well, that's another part. If you bring in some help, like more overtime officers, the sheriff's department, the LSP. One of the ideas about the LSP, and it's hard to elaborate on several little bullet points, but one of the things about LSP is bring them in on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to write more traffic citations and to help us write accident reports. That frees our officers up for 30 or 40 minutes it would take to write an accident report up. As far as the sheriff's department goes, back in the late 1980s, I can remember when I was in high school, the sheriff's office came into the outlying areas that are still in the city limits, but that are somewhat far away from the city, and they worked those areas. So, let's say that, at a house in southeast Shreveport, you have a vandalism call. Somebody hit their mailbox. Instead of our officer being tied up for 30 to 40 minutes taking care of that, why couldn't the sheriff's office take care of it? And of course, we would have to try to fund that. But those are things that will free up our officers, especially on peak nights. And you wouldn't think a Tuesday night would be a peak night. We had a murder last night, but at least on the nights that there is a lot of activity out, those officers could be freed up to go out, and if they see kids out, stop them. As far as what you do with them, that's a question really that I'm looking into. I'm talking to several people in the judicial system and things like that. So I don't know what the answer to that is. What I would want to do something that would yield the best fruit, but you also don't want to be too restrictive.
We have the assistant DA on at 7:40. We're going to ask him that question. What can you do with the teenagers? Grayson Boucher, Shreveport City Councilman. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks, y'all. Y'all have a good morning.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL Sports just ahead. Ruben's here.